Halo Infinite is finally here, and with that came the massive open world that is yours to explore. However, exploring the world of Zeta Halo can present some quite unique challenges along the way. One of those being these high-ranking, high-priority targets that the UNSC need to be eliminated in order to push back the war on the Banished. But who are these individuals? Why are they so high priority? What makes them different from other elites, jackals, grunts, brutes and hunters? And what weapons do they wield? All of that will be explained in today's video, so kick back, relax and get ready for the lore behind every boss fight you can find exploring the ring. Now you may be asking yourself, Synergy, why are you telling me all this? I can just go into the targets tab in the menu and read it all for myself. Why would you want to stop playing the game to read? Ain't nobody got time for reading. Now yes, you could do that, and if you do and have, then there's not really that much point in watching this video, so you may as well click off, to be honest with you, since you already know everything I'm about to tell you. Also, I would just like to point out that some of these names I may pronounce wrong, since, you know, they are actually alien names, so they're probably pronounced differently, but I'm going to try my best, so forgive me for that. So starting off, we have Inka Saham. Inka Saham grew in notoriety during the Covenant War as shipmaster of the DAS class Stormcutter Heresy Sorrow, which repeatedly harassed UNSC supply lines and UEG trade routes. After the collapse of the Covenant, Saham struck an alliance with the Warchief Escharum and dedicated the service of his ship and crew to the Banished. In 2559, a Spartan 4 headhunter was dispatched by Oni to assassinate Saham, but the mission sadly failed. According to reports, not only did the mission fail, but our operative was held and tortured as a prisoner of war, not to obtain UNSC intel, but simply for Saham's own enjoyment. Since then, Saham has been inducted into the Bloodstars, a banished spec ops group repurposed to train warriors in the art of eliminating Spartans. His main weapon of choice was a variant of the normal pulse carbine rifle, however, painted white and outfitted with a rapid fire attachment. Ceddon Thav Sebarim was one of the leading Covenant commanders in their final strikes against Earth and its colonies on the planets Reach and Luna. He abandoned his station after the Prophets betrayed the elites during the Great Schism in 2552, as seen in Halo 2, and decided to go back to his homeworld of Subban, or Subban, whatever way you want to say it, to be reunited with his kin at the Keep of Malastun. As the Sangheli people descended into a vicious cycle of civil war, the Ceddon joined forces with Atriox as the Banished did not discriminate against Sangheli warriors, so long as they were skilled. Sebarim has become infamous for his actions in the Battle of Harrow, where his siege of the site of Adravon resulted in the deaths of over 700,000 human civilians. His main weapon of choice was a white-coloured arcane sentinel beam, a modified version of the normal sentinel beams that fired at an insanely fast rate compared to normal, outputting an insane amount of damage. For the last decade of the war, Okro Vagaduun was considered one of the most lethal infantry assets in the Covenant and was granted the title of Blade Master by the Minister of Resolution for his remarkable combat ability. Vagaduun hailed from a long line of sword fighters and repeatedly defied odds, surviving even when heavily outnumbered. When the Covenant fell to dismay at the hands of the Prophets, he returned to Subban, or Subban, I don't know how to say that, please forgive me, the blood moon of Sanghelios and his birth world, where he was approached by Atriox with an offer to join the Banished. Only after a year of watching his own people fought a civil war, he agreed. Since then, Vagaduun has fought exclusively for the Banished as a part of the Bloodbrave, a team of highly esteemed warriors from his homeworld. Okro's weapon of choice is of course the blue-bladed Duelist Energy Sword, a variant of the typical energy sword most high-ranking elites would use for combat. Bitbap, sorry, that name's really funny. The Grunt Mercenary Bitbap is among... why am I laughing? The Grunt Mercenary Bitbap is among the most dangerous Ungoys known to the UNSC. Once a bodyguard for high-ranking Covenant officials, Bitbap earned his reputation for ruthlessness in service of the chieftain Tartarus, slaying scores of his own people for siding with the elites in the Great Schism. Following the collapse of the Covenant, Bitbap returned to his homeworld of Bahalo to refashion himself as an assassin for hire, and was so successful that he was granted the title of Vanquisher by his clan. Bitbap was notorious for numerous acts of widespread destruction on the colony of Venezir, where his relentless and ruthless pursuit of his targets and the collateral damage caused along the way resulted in over 830 human casualties. Their weapon of choice was the white-painted Calcine Disruptor, a faster shooting variant of the typical disruptor you'd see on the battlefield. One of the more disturbing reports from recent encounters with the Banished concerns the grunt known as Briglard. The grunt gained notoriety near the end of the Covenant War in the Great Schism, where his vicious and often sadistic behaviour on the battlefield earned him a high priority target designation by Arbiter Thelvadam's allied forces. Briglard joined the Banished after the war's conclusion, where his disturbing infatuation with violence and his affinity for the brutes, whose ruthlessness inspired his own, has earned him great respect among his peers. He has known not just to kill UNSC personnel at rates far outstripping other grunts, but also kills them in horrific and disturbing ways. His main weapon of choice was the Unbound Plasma Pistol, a white-plated plasma pistol that's charged shot shoots a sort of plasma buckshot as opposed to the normal big plasma ball you'd get with a charged shot. So essentially, it's a plasma pistol shotgun. Having earned the title of Cordat for his exceptional prowess behind a scope, the Ruitian marksman Barroth garnered a reputation among Jackal treasureHawks and raiding crews for his virtually unblemished accuracy record. That reputation earned interest from the Banished and an eventual initiation into their Bloodstar ranks with the aim of producing a lethal Spartan killer. To date, our best intel attributes at least 271 UNSC deaths directly linked to Barroth. If given the opportunity, you must engage carefully but with extreme prejudice. Their main weapon of choice is the White Stalker Rifle Ultra, an extremely high-powered and fast-shooting variant of the traditional Stalker rifle typically given to Sniper Jackals. God, just saying Sniper Jackals just gives me Vietnam flashbacks to Halo 2 Legendary. Don't you do it. One of the most senior officers in the Banished, Zeretus, known to his peers as the Scourgemaker, was among the first to join the faction after Atriox made his stand against the Covenant. Since then, he's been a critical component of Banished exploration efforts, leading numerous operations to scour Forerunner relic sites in search of critical assets and destroying anything that stands in his way. In one such operation on the ocean moon Lagolim, Zeretus ordered the sinking of a UEG research colony in pursuit of an ancient Forerunner site beneath the seas. Of the 1,244 scientists and analysts stationed there, not a single one survived. His weapon of choice is a modified version of the UNSC M41 Spanker rocket launcher called the M41 Tracker, painted black and gold and outfitted with lock-on homing rockets. Captain Balkarus is the veteran brute officer of the Banished who once served directly under Atriox's command, accompanying his war chief on several critical missions. In recent years, he's attempted to leverage this trusted standing to earn a place in the Bloodstar's Spec Ops group, a former Covenant combat team appropriated by Atriox as an elite unit trained for the singular purpose of killing Spartans. Though he has yet to achieve this goal, Balkarus has distinguished himself among his fellow officers for his ferociousness in battle and has been known to kill his own soldiers for the slightest demonstrations of hesitancy on the battlefield. Balkarus wields a variant of the typical mangler seen on the battlefield called the Riven Mangler. This mangler is white painted and shoots a shotgun-like buttshot spread, definitely a force to be reckoned with. Ceddon parted ways with the Covenant alongside Atriox and Decimus, a mere foot soldier of the Alien Alliance until his service in the Banished unlocked his true potential. Upon returning to his clan in Zombar, a major city on the brute colony moon of Tish, Ceddon rallied those who had remained to join the Banished, forging his identity as their chieftain. And it was here that this savage leader began to gain his destructive renown. Like other Banished leaders, Ceddon led a distinctive subset of warriors, the Bulwark of Bone, gathering its own followers before coming to the service of Atriox's campaign. In the Banished, the chieftain proceeded to carve a violent path through dozens of human colonies, the most notable ones being Seaford and Voranos, large-scale raiding operations that left the worlds crippled in their wake. His main weapon of choice is a white-painted variant of the gravity hammers typical chieftain wielded, called the Rushdown Hammer. This hammer outputted a force of power never to be seen before and was 100% one of the most deadly close combat weapons the Banished had to offer. One of the more experienced members of the Banished, Novus was a part of the Covenant attack on Jericho 7 that decimated several human cities with unyielding force. Serving under the brute chieftain known as Thrallslayer, Ignovus soon became renowned for his violent and bloodthirsty nature, including a particular penchant for eating the severed limbs of his opponents while they watched him in absolute agony. Acquiring the title Novus The Devourer throughout his own meteoric rise to chieftain, the brute warrior continued to lay waste to human settlements, even after breaking away from the Covenant. His pack, Warrior's Wraith, joined the Banished in 2550 and began to indiscriminately target any species or faction that stood in their way. His main weapon of choice was a variant of the typical skewer seen with most brutes called the Volatile Skewer. This variant was painted white and shot rounds that exploded after impact, maximising total damage and pain to whoever it hit. The brute champion known as Arthok has wreaked havoc on UNSC operations for the better part of an entire decade. First serving under Korth the Wender, part of the Brothers Unending Arthos led nearly 4 dozen individually documented assaults on colonial sites. The most notable was a vicious ambush on the colony of Terceria that claimed the lives of 3 full ODST squads. Recent intelligence reports that Arthok joined the rest of the Brother of Unending in pledging allegiance to Atriox and the Banished. Their motives are currently unknown, but each member should be considered an extreme threat to any UNSC forces that might be in close proximity. Arthok wielded a white painted variant of the normal Ravager most brutes use, however this one was different. It shot, forgive me for saying this, but I cannot think of another way to say it, bouncy, unstable plasma on its normal shot, and on its charged shot, it shoots a devastating blast of bouncy, unstable plasma. However, on its second bounce, it explodes, leaving a trail of burning, unstable plasma in all directions in close proximity to it. Writh Kul was born in the Tower of Vetnos on the asteroid of Azard, one of the only cities of this colony to remain unaffected by the constant threat of piracy. After the Great Schism, her name rose to prominence in Tartarus' inner circle, largely due to her intellect and strategic wisdom of space warfare, which earned her the role of Naval Combat Architect. Functioning in this capacity, Wraith managed to take down over 185 UNSC capital ships, making her one of the most lethal Covenant assets in space. When the Covenant finally came to an end, however, Writh took her frigate Dagger of Mercy and its crew and continued ransacking Forerunner relic sites and trading them in the burgeoning post-war cross-species black market. Although lucrative, she desired to return to warfare and sought out Atriox for placement in the Banished. Her weapon of choice is a fairly unique one to most Jackals, as I've not seen many of them carry Needlers, let alone a white-painted variant one with a lock-on ability. The Needlers already have a sort of homing ability, guiding them to their target, but this one has that as well as the lock-on ability, making this weapon a truly frightening one to most UNSC soldiers. It didn't take long on the ring for the galaxy to throw us some pretty significant curveballs at us. One of those new challenges has been the creatures currently named the Skimmers, which appear to be an as of yet unencountered species. They're working for, or perhaps with, the local Banished forces, but their armour configuration doesn't seem to map the main Banished aesthetic. Spartan Hudson Griffin said, "So far we've encountered at least one small contingent of the Skimmers that seem to be a more lethally outfitted group. We're not sure of their status in Banished hierarchy, but taking them out and gathering any intel we can, whether biological or strategic, wouldn't hurt if the opportunity presents itself." This group of lethal Skimmers were equipped with a white variant of the normal shock rifle they are equipped with that does a whole lot more damage than your average shock rifle. Proceed with caution. Recent reports on the Letgolo species have revealed some rather interesting and in some cases unsettling observations, in particular related to the strain of combat-ready forms known as, forgive me if I'm saying this wrong, Letgolo. We've noticed a behavioural evolution in scattered instances trending towards a more individualised identity and intelligence rather than simply an order-following hive mind. If you didn't know, hunters aren't some sort of big, massive, alien. They're actually made up of small little tiny worms all like hive-minded together, sort of like the Flood if you think about it. We have encountered this in recent years with the Swarm Lords that served alongside a dangerous independent faction of ex-Covenant Evocati led by Ki Nazars, as well as classified reports of a bond pair simply known as Colony. Our current attentions have turned towards a unified bond pair called Myriad. They are single-handedly responsible for the deaths of 2 Spartan 4 fire teams. Myriad represents not only an immediate danger to UNSC forces, but also another dangerous precedent in the species' evolution. And last but not least, we have Ordo Mal. During the Covenant War, Ordo Mal was unequalled among the Sangheili Wraith pilots and was responsible for the deaths of 654 UNSC personnel. His death toll increased to over 1,200 in the years following, many of those taking place during the Banished raid on the UEG colony of Palaganar. Unlike others, Ordo Mal did not join the Banished until well after the Covenant's collapse in the wake of the Sangheili Civil War. Returning to his native keep, he united a network of feudal raid lances under his aggressive and mercenary leadership before being directly approached by Atriox for service in the Banished. In the intervening years, Ordo Mal found increasingly fav out with Escharum, Atriox's right hand. This ascent earned him the title Wraith Master among the Banished. He remains one of the single most dangerous elements in their coming stratagem. When he wasn't piloting a Wraith, Ordo Mal wielded a white-coated variant of the Heatwave called the Scatterbound Heatwave, a variant with vastly superior damage, a powerful weapon for a powerful elite. And there you have it, that is the lore behind every single boss fight you can find on Zeta Halo. If you enjoyed the video, make sure to like and subscribe, and let me know down in the comments if you want me to do more videos like this. I love doing Halo lore stuff. I'll probably do it regardless anyway, but let me know down in the comments what kind of stuff you want to see, what things you want to explain. I'm currently working on potentially making a video on the full history of Zeta Halo. I think that would be a really cool video to make because I know a lot of stuff about Zeta Halo, the ring that we're currently on. Can I speak? The ring that we're currently on. Actually, that would be a fun video to make. I think I'm going to do that, actually. I think I'm going to do that. But I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Make sure to like and subscribe. And yeah, see you in the next one.